Yeah. So this is a from Kyra Lemon. I'm the background photo while I talk about performance. So our performance department is not a traditional drama program focusing on stage or film acting, which is what people tend to expect when they tour SAIC. But it is actually an incorporation of the body as an artistic material, and it draws freely upon like disciplines of painting, sculpture, music, and sound for materials and imagery, while freeing the artist from the typical traditions of those art forms. So any type of art form can be incorporated into a performance, and students in performance use a variety of performative modes like live action performance installation, performance lectures, movement research, tactical and site performance, interactive digital technologies, and performative writing. The example that I like to give here when giving a tour is like most people know who Yoko Ono or Marina Abramovic is. They're like the two most famous performance artists ever. I give an example of like Yoko Ono's cut piece where cut pieces of her clothing off. And it was just like an interactive performance piece where she just sat there like, you know, pretty, just didn't really care about what was going on. So that's like an example I like to give. So these are some of the I have not had the pleasure of taking any of these. I'm actually thinking about taking Performing the Rural by Mark Jeffrey. But the nice thing about performance is that you actually don't have to have any experience. There's no prerequisite to take any performance class. I recommend starting an introduction to performance if you're not like well versed. That way you can just get the basics and understanding. The hard thing about performance art is that you don't really understand it fully until you actually participate in one or experience one, which is actually kind of nice. It's like a little, I don't know, it's like a little awakening. Yeah, so some other classes are like puppetry and performance, material actions, where you're working with certain materials and see what actions they cause or the symbolism behind them. One of the ones that I was kind of interested in is fantasy, romance, and transcendence, where you're thinking a lot about how love works in performance and like the fantasy of it. And so a lot of like working with groups and other people in performances. Yeah, so these are just some examples. And then next, this is the main classroom space for undergraduates at SAIC. It is a huge room. It's an 80 by 40 by 14. It's a multi-use performance space with blackout curtains. So like the blackout curtains, they can submerge the whole space. So if we move the curtains, like you can move them all the way around, not this section, but like back wall and everything, and you can block out all the light and just make the place totally and completely dark. Actually, you know what? You can cover right here. You can totally cover right there. Yeah, so other things that are available in the room, there's a projection booth, which is right here. And it contains a programmable 34 instrument quadraphonic sound system with 8 instrument inputs. So if you want to do a performance where 8 of your closest friends are screaming into microphones, you can totally do that here. There's a programmable LED lighting systems, which these are like the lights up here. You can change them to like rainbow colors. You can pulsate them, like you can set them up to be, which is really cool. And then there's also like a wide range of audio and visual equipment at students' disposal. We have cameras for documentation. We have just extension cords, anything you really need. Like we have a speaker or a PA system that can be set up. Yeah, so the spaces, there's like 2 main performance spaces. I'll talk about the other one in a sec, but they're managed by a performance technician who works closely with students and helps them kind of realize their projects from inception to completion. Yeah, there's like an office right behind here that is where the performance technician hangs out, but we'll teach you how to use all the audio visual equipment if you're interested in using that in your performances. I personally about it and how it works, but there are plenty of people who are really interested in learning that type of stuff. So we have an option available. So here's like another picture of the space, like another view. You can see this person just chilling out. Everyone's pretty spunky and Recent upgrades to the space itself are high fidelity flown speakers. They're kind of like around the room. Projection capabilities on 2 walls, so you can project on this wall, and then you can also project on the wall that this projector is facing out on. So that's pretty cool, 2 at a time. So there's a renovated green room actually through this door, and then through this door, like there's a little area in here that's where like sinks are, and then there's a door where you can go through, and there's a green room, which is pretty cool. So there's also a shower. When students perform, they can use substances, like some people have used honey and some people have used paint, and they need to be washed off post-performance, so it's nice to have the shower immediately available for the students that are interested in working with sticky substances and messy substances. So through these doors, there's a broom, there's a small little hallway, like right here, and across the hall there is a room that's also like an installation room. It functions as a classroom and a performance installation space with access to a courtyard garden that students also tend to use for performances. It's open to all students as well, so you can just hang out and eat lunch if you want, but it's a really nice place if you want to do performances based in nature or connected to that, or just use the space as like a rehearsal space. It's just a really nice break from city living when you just have like these 4 walls and you're surrounded by grass and flowers. So as I said before, towards the back, there's a sink. There's also it's this room, the curtain's right here. This is just a big room with like a skylight. There's a sink, and then the storage area is right here with like lockers and stuff if you want to store things. And then there's also like shelves. And then there's a snorkel lift, which is like a motorized lift that you can use to change and position the lights up here. In the other installation room, it is pretty similar. Like there's lights up above that you can change, and it's all white walls. So the snorkel can be used in both rooms to reposition and change the lights. So that's nice. You can actually get authorized to do that. You don't have to have the performance technician do it for you. You can learn. You can drive the snorkel around and change lights yourself. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so from 2018, this is an undergrad student. As you notice, a lot of the performance images that I show don't look like they're taken in that room necessarily, and that's because a lot of the things that performance does are off campus, and that's because it's pretty interactive department, and we also like to get moving and be outside, and there's no real place that performance has to stay. So New Blood is a yearly performance event in the fall. It's an opportunity for students working with performance, either from within or outside the department, to exhibit works to the public. This event is usually held at Lynx Hall. It's a theater venue in Chicago. New Blood is usually like early undergrads. I know a lot of freshmen participate in New Blood, but like literally anyone can. And but it's just like a welcoming event. Like, here's what we've been cooking up so far in the performance department this year. So yeah, and then each spring, the students that are completing their undergraduate study are eligible to participate alongside our graduate students in the Impact Performance Festival, which is usually held at the Xiaobi Arts Center in the neighborhood of Bridgeport, which is like South Chicago, south of like the Loop. And there are a lot of cool performances that come out of here, lots of collaborating. I think a lot of people don't realize that with performance art, you can be a performer, or you can also be a choreographer or a director. So a lot of people come out of the woodwork for impact and direct performances rather than just like performing in them. Yeah, but a lot of the performance events that we have are in between MFA and BFA students. So a lot of grad, undergrad mixing. And that's what's so nice about this performance, is that it's like extremely collaborative. And I really like that about working in it. One of the classes that I've taken has actually been performance and installation, where we're doing a lot of installation work and also performing alongside. So we're building like environments and also performing and interacting with them. So it's a great class, highly recommend. But while at SAIC, a lot of performance students work collaboratively or individually in the galleries and spaces in Chicago's performance community, including a network of experimental, non-traditional, and artist-initiated spaces. In many cases, the city itself becomes like an urban classroom as students engage with numerous communities through projects and performances. Our students are challenged to think of themselves not simply as individual artists, but as active participants in the shaping of contemporary culture, which is why we host so many events off campus. This was at Mana Contemporary from 2015. I believe these are MFA grad students. This was actually from a Vimeo video, and there wasn't any label on it, so I don't know whose performance this was, but this is just another example of like people kind of surround you while you're performing, and another like off-campus location that we collaborate with. So a lot of people are like, performance, what can I do with performance? I know with performance art, I can be an actor, or like work in, or with like, excuse me, with performing arts, I can be an actor, but like, what can I do with performance art? It seems so niche. Actually, there's a lot you can do. So in relation to like body performance, you could do anything from like movement and research, to doing like duration performances, object performance. There's like puppetry, material performance, event production, media performance, mixed reality performance, as well as like virtual spaces, performing for the camera. So I know a lot of people do like a lot of photo booth performances with their laptop where they're just using that as the main recorder. Installation is site specific, so performance installation, which is the class that I was saying that I took, as well as like site practice. And so like say you go out to the desert and you're like, I'm just going to interact with the scenery and then wherever it takes me, that type of stuff. And then like critical activism and political performance, which is like basically anything relating to politics, which is basically everything, but with the purpose of politics, like what happens when you do this to this, what does that mean socially, what does that mean like economically, as well as like reenactment or reperformance. So you could reenact the Yoko Ono's cut piece that I referenced earlier, reperform it and see what happens in like a different context. Say you're not using scissors this time, you're using like a razor blade to cut your clothes off, or maybe you're just clearly referencing her and everything has to be exactly like that. It's just different because you're not Yoko Ono. But yeah, these are some examples of performances that can be done. And with that, that is basically the end of my presentation. So I hope you had a good time touring performance. And yeah, I'm going to hand it back over to Casey.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Em. And thank you for joining us for our virtual tour of SAIC's Performance Department. If you have questions about the school or about the Performance Department, please feel free to get in touch with us. You can always visit our website to learn more at saic.edu. You can also learn more about the admissions requirements and the admissions application process at SAIC by visiting saic.edu/admissions. And you can always contact our office at 312-629-6100, or you can email us at ugadmis@saic.edu. Thanks again for joining us for this virtual tour of the Performance Department. Have a great day.